All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Wilton Community School District Wednesday, October 9th, 2019 board meeting. The mission of the Wilton Community School District is to provide an education that encourages continual progress through the improvement of one's abilities, expansion of one's interests and knowledge, and the growth of one's character. Call to order, roll call, please, Joy.
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Tony Hurd. Gary Maurer. Rob Metzger. And Tara White. Here.
Thank you, Joy. Agenda approval, any additions, changes, or corrections, Mr. Burnett?
None.
Entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We will do the minutes approval of the September 11th regular board meeting, please.
Motion to approve the September 11th regular meeting minutes.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. I see public forum.
Mr. Senator, do you want?
Getting fired up here.
Okay. We're getting things fired up over here. Yeah, you want to introduce
So,
Kelsey?
we've asked Mrs. Lockhart to come in, and she's overseeing our school newspaper that's gone digital this year. If you're on social media, you probably seen it a little bit. Carly Scholl and Lily are members of the staff. They're going to talk a little bit too. So, as soon as we get it up, we'll get rolling.
That's okay, you're fine.
When you,
I know, it's always like you test it and then,
Yes.
That's how-
just,
Yeah, that's.
that's how it goes.
I got it.
Well,
I'll talk while we're kind of figuring this out here. So I am the digital media design teacher, which was formerly journalism too. But we, our student staff put together the yearbook along with now the new online newspaper, the Blue and Gold. So it's a digital platform where we put our newspaper articles, and we also can put artwork and photography of different school events. So we're here to kind of introduce the new changes to the class. And I'll have Lily and Carly start here with the yearbook changes because we are making some alterations to just when we release the yearbook. So I want you to share what we're doing and why we're doing it.
So this year our yearbook is the theme is in retrospect, so we're taking like 60s through 90s throughout like the different sections, which is really cool because this year I know the band is doing Woodstock theme and the play is doing like a 90s take on it, Separate doing 90s, so it's fitting with what's going on in the school. This year the biggest change is that we're going to be releasing it in the spring, which is aside from like we used to do it in like the beginning of the school year, so it's just basically so that the seniors can get it before they leave. With that, there is like, you'll have to do inserts with graduation pages and some of the final support pages, but that'll just be mailed to the seniors, and then everyone can get their yearbook signed at the end of the year too. So.
we do have it up now, so I don't know if there's anything you want to point out on.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the spring release of the yearbook as well, we took a poll of both students and parents and guardians, and it was about 70% were in favor for a spring release of the yearbook, just so we could get that signed, and then seniors don't have to worry about coming back to the school, because a lot of them, when they're going off to college in the fall, they're thinking more so about like their freshman year of college, less about their senior year of high school. So it's kind of that culmination for those seniors, along with it being able to be signed by a yearbook, by basically all of the students. The Blue and Gold was formerly the Beaver Tail. So we used to print in the Advocate, but now we have turned to an online forum, which has allowed us to do a lot of things that we were limited in before. So students can write a lot more articles, they can put their photography online, and I'll show you a couple of the photos that we have by Lily Wyeth here. But we also can push our articles online for the first time, so on social media, on we can have people check out our website, and we can actually see how many people are visiting the page and what stories they're visiting. So if I just click the color run, for instance, so this is our photo album for the color run this year for homecoming. So we're able to put, for the first time ever, like, let's see here, 55 photos of the color run. And Lily is a very talented photographer, as you can see. So it really allows us to represent kind of the spirit of the school in color.
The really neat thing about the color run that Lily did was by Friday afternoon, late in the day, on homecoming still, this was all up on the site. Whereas, you know, if you're doing a paper copy, which we've done in the past, it's a week or two later.
Yes.
So
Yes.
sometimes a month, yeah. So
Yep.
it's real time too, so that's a nice thing about that.
Are those photos, sorry, but stealable? You know,
They
like, can
are.
I download one of those?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, so every photo
Is
that
that
we take
okay?
is free. So someone can save
You
it.
don't have to pay a fine.
I know. That's bad, Denise, that's okay. That's okay.
Jamie's I may have already stolen it to you.
Okay.
No one's come after it yet.
She's asking for a friend.
But we also have articles we could put out as well, so Cody McDonald wrote one on allowing small bags in the classroom, so we don't allow bigger bags for the safety hazard that it poses. And then as a staff, we can see how many people are visiting the page. So if I go to Launchpad, I can go to the analytics, and then I can see when are we most active, what are we posting that's really drawing people to the page, and it allows us to inform our decisions in more of a data-driven way. Especially for students, that's a life skill that they will need probably no matter what they're doing. So page views right now, so how many pages have been visited, 2,845, and we just brought this up last week. So we just went public last week with this. And then we have 633 new users. So that means 633 people in the community or in the school have visited the webpage. Then we also can see how many people are visiting what page. So we can see here what articles are drawing people in. And we can see the effectiveness of each article. So that's a really nice feature that we have with this software that we never could really have with a print piece.
Cool.
Good job,
I like it.
Any questions from anyone? For either myself or the staff?
How many people are on your staff?
I have 24 students, and then there are like half go to yearbook and half go to newspaper. So that class runs through the year. Yeah.
We also do a media broadcast with, you know, it's more like the TV news station
Yeah.
that you release too. So.
Yeah, so we do that as a skinny, so that's a separate class, and I have 18 students in that. And they are creating videos to put out as news broadcasts. And the first one will be coming out here this October. They've had 2 videos so far, but generally the first couple videos, they're learning a lot of lessons on how to make it effective. And so we don't put it out until it's above a self-assessed 75% or something like that. So we make sure that they give themselves a grade for each one, just like what the quality was for the videos. And we've seen growth from a 58% starting to at the end of the semester it going to like a 95%. So we have seen them like grow a lot as just you know, broadcasters in general. So that's a separate class, yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Great work.
Thank you a lot. Thank you, thank you. All right, moving on, we will go to Stacy, Business Financial Functions, please.
Upload number 3, the taxation fund financials. Any questions, comments? Might notice under the management fund expenditures, the insurance deductibles are in the negative when we had our water damage this summer in the central office. They paid off of some estimates and figured that we would have some things that we would need to replace that we didn't replace, and sent us a check before we started replacing things, and when I asked them if they wanted that money back, they said no. So now we just had another insurance claim, due to damage a week and a half ago, and it's a major one. There's lots of stuff that went down, cameras.
Oh, that's right, the like,
Server.
the hit by lightning.
Yes.
Or the
Yes,
electronics
the
now.
electronics, sign, that's right.
So that money will help pay the $1,000 deductible for that claim.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
I think I have anything else major point out. Any questions on any of the taxation funds? Can you all see the debt service page fund, because mine says, last page says problem loading this.
No,
What's
I got
the
it.
problem loading this page? Okay, all right. Upload number 4 is instructional support through September with our income at the top and our budget expenditures to bid at the bottom of the first page and what we have left in each line item at the top of the second page. So, we've almost spent half of that already, going fast. Technology front-loaded a lot of stuff this year. So, any questions or comments about any of that? Upload number 5 is the self-insurance fund report, and at the bottom of the page is the fund breakdown and investment breakdown. So, self-insurance fund is extra work, but it definitely has saved us a lot of money. Any questions or comments on self-insurance fund? And Latchkey is the next upload. At the top, you can see the before and after school program usage for the current month and the previous month. So the usage has increased. And the before and after programs. And that fund continues to do well. If you remember, there was a time a few years ago, right after the recession, where that account was almost depleted. So, any questions or comments on Latchkey? The next upload is the period vendor report for Latchkey for the month of September. Anything they spent money on in addition to payroll. And then upload number 8 would be the quarterly comparison. So comparing July, August, and September from 2018 to 2019 by attendance and revenue and expenses. Any questions or comments on that? Upload number 9, nutrition fund. First page has our month and school year-to-date usage for lunch program and breakfast. And then financials. And nutrition fund has money to spend, and she has been buying some things, so her expenditures are a little more than her revenue year-to-date. They also buy a lot of food up front to begin the school year, so. Any questions or comments on that? Upload number 10 is a period vendor report for nutrition fund. And again, anything they spent money on in addition to payroll. Upload number 11, the first page is the activity fund. Musical drama is, of course, in the hole because it's going full force. We're starting to pay for things, and Mr. Meyer and I did the Title IV budget last week or the week before. Title IV is student enrichment, And we're going to take some of the cost of the musical out of that account, which is in the general fund. So the stipends, the extra stipends that we pay the 3 instructors that are working with that will come out of Title IV, so it will not have to come out of the regular general fund. And then we're also going to pay for some of the rental of equipment out of Title IV for the musical. So that will help with that. As always, our music summary and our athletic summary is doing well. And there is a negative in FFA. They went to a national convention, Joy? State?
You had to pay a registration fees for that, yeah.
National convention. So it is in the hole. And top of page 2 is the FFA Enterprise Fund. And there were just some hogs that had to be paid for. That put that account in the hole. And poultry is in the hole as well. But overall, the account is positive. And then our flex benefits account that we keep in our local bank instead of at the insurance company, and the agency fund, which are funds that we account for but are not technically owned by us. Any questions or comments on any of those accounts? And then the following upload the period vendor report for all of those. Always the lengthy period vendor report. Any questions or comments on any of the period vendor report? Upload number 13, co-curricular driving report. Football, volleyball, and cross country going on. And then there's some other classroom, anything that's not associated with the school, like Zion and Special Olympics, they pay for the entire cost of the use of the bus plus the driver expense and payroll taxes. And the next upload, number 14, is extra payroll. Anything that is not on the contract that's submitted to me for payment goes on this report for board approval. Let's see, we have the first weight room supervisor request, since that was approved. Any questions on any of the extra payroll? And then upload number 15, 10 pages of bills on the taxation funds. Bills do not seem to get smaller. We have about 7 pages of general fund bills totaling $92,414.33. And then there are some bills under the management fund, Fund 22, relating to the insurance claim already because the IT department had to order some things quickly that we needed. And there are several expenses for the multi-purpose building under Fund 33. And we're finishing that project up out of Fund 33. And we made a payment on the auditorium sound system, which they are working on installing. They brought all the equipment, so we're paying for that, and then we'll have another bill after the installation is completed. And that was from Townsend Fund donation. And then one bill from physical plant and equipment, levy number 36. For the high school gym girls locker room upgrades. Any question, any of the bills from any of the funds? A lot going on. A lot to keep track of.
Move to approve those.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Stacy. We will move on to administrative reports. Mrs. Austin, please.
We are busy in person elementary. The top thing I've noted on the board report is our FAST update. And FAST is that universal screener that the state requires. And we actually give the screener K6 3 times a year. The state law only requires that we do it K3 3 times a year. But based off this information, the state goal, so if you go to the next page, the scores, the state law, or the state goal, I should say, is 80%. So in green are our grade levels who hit the 80%. If you don't, and our scores hold up extremely well compared, which we'll get those comparisons soon, to the AEA and the state. So we're well above normally the AEA and the state. But what we look at is those scores that are below, that aren't green, and try to do PD for our universal instruction for every kid. And then, of course, our progress monitoring is based off those, is individual work based off those kids who aren't proficient. And we do a lot of classroom interventions for that. And then iBlock, of course, is our main, has been our main asset to help improve these scores. The second chart is our comparison fall to fall. And I'm really proud of this one because we only have one score that didn't improve from this last fall. And that's on the diagonal same kids. So I'm talking cohort scores there. So the same kids in kindergarten that scored an 80, in first grade scored an 82. And the one that went down was first grade to second grade. We always have trouble in that second grade because the first grade scores are don't have as many things in them, and second grade has a lot more items in them to balance it out. So sometimes that's kind of a structural issue, but it still shows that we need work. But then like second grade last year was 53, this year's third graders, they were 60. When you look on that diagonal on the cohort. So when I'm looking on that cohort diagonal, everyone except second to third went up. But, you know, that's really good work, I think, by the teachers, and obviously the students. The next one, the third chart, is our comparison spring to fall, which it's really difficult to put a lot of credence in that because of summer slide, but they do take that into account. And even with that, we had 5 scores that went up and 3 that went down. So overall, again, I think our reading work is very much paying off for us on our scores. We're trying to do a similar thing in math with a lot of our PD in math and our Leader in Me data notebooks. We're focusing on that. So we have a school-wide goal, which is our WIG, of increasing operational, which is fact fluency, so that 80% of the kids will be proficient. So the kids in their books or in their notebooks are charting it at an individual level. Classroom and grade levels have it. And we're now getting our building graph up. So hopefully the kids can see that their work paying off and some of the extra things they're doing. Parent-teacher conferences are next week for us. I do want to publicly thank Barbara Witchell for her outstanding work covering for Rachel Longstock while she has been on maternity leave. And in reality, we've kind of done that a little bit, subbing by committee, because we've had several things that have happened, but Barbara's really done a nice job. And we look forward to Rachel's return at the end of the month. It's just hard in kindergarten at the beginning. It's just a difficult situation, but everybody's done their part and I think covered it very well. Our teachers are finishing their year 2 EALIS training before Thanksgiving, so we'll have that again completed. We just finished today our last set of 2 and 2. You have to have 2 fire and 2 tornado drills every semester. So we've got that finished today and had a little trouble with our intercom system, but I mean, it's great figuring it out. Yeah, it's a great time to figure it out. Firemen were here today. We've been busy. They did a great job, and the kids love it. And then they have they invite the kids to their annual open house, which is tonight. Our student-led, again, Leader Me, our building celebrations. Today was National Teddy Bear Work and School Week. Just for those inquiring minds. Kids did a great job. I mean, they plan it, they put the posters up, they tell the other kids about it, they bring extra teddy bears for the kids who didn't have them. I mean, it really is hard. So it sounds crazy, but it's really good. They planned our dance party, they did the Start With Hello week, they thanked the custodians, they made little gifts for the custodians, and then they're planning our fall celebration on the 31st. And all this kind of falls in with that Habit 8, Find Your Voice. So yeah, I'm real happy about that. And then the final thing, sorry, I'm talking too much tonight, but I am really proud of everybody. With AEA sent us an email that we were a District Watch Award winner, and basically it's for the assistance for the hearing impaired children in our district. And they named everybody, as you can see there, from associates to the teachers. And it's just really nice that I feel that they have that hopeful attitude, and people from the outside recognize that we're kind of a special spot. So any questions?
If not, thank you, Mrs. Austin. On to Mr. Snavely, please.
Yeah, I'll start with the junior, senior high report. I'll answer any questions you might have on Ryan's athletic report too when you're done. But homecoming week is in the books. So last week was homecoming. We had a great week. I just want to thank Mr. Grunder publicly and Mr. Dutchaver. They lead our student councils, and it was just a really smooth week. We did some different things, like the color run that you saw. And our kids they've done a great job all fall with their pride, like at games, and we just have a really good group of seniors leading us this year. Not that we don't every year, but this year we just did some different things, and it's been a great week for that. The fun thing about the color run, after that was all done, I mean, it wasn't really like a true color run where you go run 3 miles and, they spray you on the way. It was more about, let's run 400 yards and then just throw powder everywhere and get dirty. We actually had to move our pep rally outside that day because everybody was so dirty. And then the other thing that happened that afternoon that was really neat is we had music playing out there.
Yeah.
And they just had an impromptu dance party. The kids just cranked the music and they just started dancing like it was a homecoming dance. So that was a really neat thing, and it was just a fun week for the students. So that's, again, we're in that's in the books, and we're looking at the end of our fall sports season all of a sudden now. It's just crazy how fast that goes. So I also want to just mention Friday, October 11th, we are going to have our first ever college application day. So our career counselor, you're starting to see kind of her work emerge here a little bit. So Mr. Patterson and Mrs. Schulteis will be in here on Friday, and they're going to help students with college applications and paying those fees and all that stuff that they have to do to apply. And then they've asked teachers to put a sign outside their door with their name and where they went to college, and then they've asked them sometimes throughout the day to talk about their college experience. So, I guess our career counselor's job is to connect with every single senior this year and guide them wherever it is they're going to go, whether it's a workforce or military or 2-year college, 4-year college. So she's doing a really good job, and this is one of the things that she's doing on top of teaching classes and different things that are going on there. We will also have a signing day later in the year. She and I have already talked about what that's going to look like, so stay tuned on that. So we'll do some promotional things on that as well later on in the year with that. So that's coming up Friday. So parent-teacher conferences, our first night is tonight. It's going well downstairs. Festival of Bands is this Saturday, so hopefully we know the weather's going to change. How it's going to change is kind of up in the air right now, but that'll start about 12:30, and you heard them talk about the theme is Woodstock. They've ordered T-shirts. The band did their first ever poster this year with shirt photography, and so it's kind of a little momentum for them and things like that. So that's all I have. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If you have questions about Ryan's report, I can answer that as well. So, and then I want to share one more thing about volleyball that came out last night. That I didn't probably put in there because it just came last night. So the parents came out last night for volleyball for the state parents. So on October 28th, we will host Durant. And then if we win on October 31st, which is Halloween night, we will host North Cedar, and then either Bellevue or Northeast will play the same night. We play Durant. We'll host one of those 3 teams on Halloween night, 31st. And then the regional final is in Durant. Last year we went all the way to Cedar Rapids and Xavier, but Durant has a regional final. So we feel really good about the pairings and where we're at. I mean, there's a lot of teams, but we feel really good about our path to state. So we have to go out and play well and in order to get there, but we feel really good about where we're at with that. So that was just released last night, hot off the press. Any questions for me?
No teddy bears?
They don't do anything
Oh,
fun.
we don't do it.
I don't know why you don't.
Somebody needs to work on that.
Elementary's kind of lead the charge, I guess.
Maybe we need to have that. I don't know how that goes. That might be a risk.
Thank you, Mr. Snavely. We will move on to consent agenda number 1.
Only thing I have under the first consent agenda is just our job description review of the model teacher. I had the principals and Mr. Meyer look at this. Only made a couple small tweaks about some of the things I do from serving on the building leadership teams and different things. Some do at the elementary and they don't necessarily at the high school or vice versa. So we took a couple of those out, but otherwise these are our model teachers that, and what they do with working with the other teachers. If there's anything to add, Ms. Austin, Mr. Snavely, but that's it.
Motion to approve consent agenda number 1.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries on the consent agenda number 2, our favorite policy.
Yes, you got the 605 series, which is all about the instructional materials and if the reconsideration committee is pulled together. It's got forms there if someone were to question something in the curriculum. The only one I circled, which the 605.5, it does say in our policy that each building is required to have a school library. You know, I recommend we keep that in there, but it's just interesting, today's terminology is more media center or whatnot. But we have them in each building and we always will, as far as I know. But otherwise, and then the bottom half there is just the internet regulations and whatnot. We updated that a couple years ago. So I have no recommendations for tweaks or changes, but I'll certainly entertain any questions from the board if there are.
Motion to approve consent agenda number 2.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, consent agenda number 3.
All three of these were ones we discussed last month. We just changed some verbiage. 604.4, instead of saying the board, we're just changing that to the district. We took out a couple things in 604.7 about PSEOs, about 9th and 10th graders. You can see the strikes there, Townsend and Gibson students. Basically, like we've always said, we want policy to match practice. So that does reflect current practice now. And then the third one is just the 604.11, the credit recovery, the Edgenuity. We put that
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
information in there.
And then a 60% decrease, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So that's it under consent agenda number 3.
Motion to approve consent agenda number 3.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, individual action items.
Every year I ask the board to approve the convention fees. So the board members choose to go, at least that's an approved expense. This year it's $200 for that Thursday session. So we need an individual motion on that.
Move to approve the convention fees, $200.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next two involve our Townsend Foundation project with the Commons. It's letters of, well, for MGA, you can see it's more of a letter. It puts in their scope and what their fee is. You can see MGA's fee is $198,000, a flat fee. And as you can see in there, that's to do all the bidding, design, etc. So that's the scope of the project with them. Not to get ahead, but on the next one with Point Builders as a construction management company, basically their fee, structure fee is 5% of the total cost of the project. So So if you do just a simple math, if it's 2.7 million, 10%, that's 270. So half of that would be, what, 135? Comes in the budget, which it will. That's letters B and C. We just need to have those approved, and we'll kickstart. And talking with Tim Anderson, the next phase would be the bidding, and that'll happen right after Christmas, and they get the best bids in January.
So we have to do each of these individuals. So we need to
Yep.
do the MGA one first, please, letter of agreement.
Move to approve the fees for MGA, letter of agreement.
Second?
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then C, the project contract with Point Builders.
Motion to approve the project contract with Point Builders.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then lastly,
Every year, we have to come to the board and ask for a modified level of growth and supplemental aid for the previous year. Because special ed, we don't, it's difficult to budget that because you don't know what your bills and costs are going to be for the current year. And so, almost each year, we have a deficit just based upon student needs. And it just is what it is. There's really not a whole lot we can do about that. So you can see this year, our deficit is estimated, because our audit is this week, at $192,796.93. Stacy, is there anything you want to add to that?
Our deficit went further in the hole, almost by $50,000 from fiscal year 18. But if you remember right, junior, senior high had a teacher this year. We had replaced one of the special ed teachers. So that should help with the deficit for fiscal year 20. But yeah, in order for this to expand our spending authority and not use regular general fund money to consume this deficit, we have to put in this request.
And we go by recommended caseloads, you know, and what the standards are and those types of things. So certainly, we don't see it as let's just go nuts.
And it's
It's
very
just-
little supplies and equipment also. They don't let you spend a lot of money on those things anymore. It's salaries and benefits and gen ed costs that go back onto that schedule for the special ed kids and, you know, tuition out that we pay for kids that go out. We don't have any control over a lot of that. So,
We've had some years if they're a resident student, but again, like Stacy said, if they're a different facility or whatnot, they just send us a bill. And no, you know, again, that's why we're here and that's what we do. We
our
educate.
open enroll, we have some open enroll out students that are special ed also that we pay bills for, so.
I just don't want, and the board knows this, but it's not a reflection on, I think, the management side of mismanaging the money. It's just, it's how it's written in the IEP and what their services.
Well, and the special ed count had gone up, then during the year, last year, it went down throughout the year, which is why Mr. Staley recommended that we can replace that on special ed teachers. It's
Oh.
hard to keep up with that.
So, that's letter D.
Move to approve the request for the modified allowable growth.
all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, informational discussion item.
You see, we have one hiring this month, our wrestling cheer coach, Nicole Anderson. 12/24. Annual report on the pool board. We had a meeting last night.
Yeah, we're progress on the whirlpool is slow. Haven't got much accomplished yet, I guess, so. And haven't got the pump in yet either. We're looking for some more parts yet to make that work. And we're gonna replace 12 lights over there with LED lights.
Good.
Otherwise, everything's coming along.
And you're replacing the seating in the lobby, right?
Oh, yeah, she wants to do something
Adding
different with benches in there too.
Yeah. Paint the orange doors.
Yeah.
She has a lot of parents that are in there during swim lessons, and she'd like to update it a little bit. So she just ran that by us.
I think Stephanie's doing a great
She's
job.
doing a very good job, very,
Kudos to
Looks like
her.
there's been several birthday parties.
yes, The shelter house has been out a lot, and also the,
Sometimes.
well,
Shelter doesn't always work, does it, Tony?
That was
Yeah.
the school's fault.
Huh?
That was the school's fault.
Yeah.
kind of
It worked out.
got her, yeah, but she was very upset, but that's okay.
She was wonderful, I talked to her. and
I know,
she
but-
was great, so,
but-
I mean, and I wasn't mad.
But it's
Stuff
the
happens.
point. It's-
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
I don't have anything under policy or legislative. Maintenance-wise, right now, big push is to, finish out the new multipurpose building. They've had a football practice in there, and, it's certainly the point, if we need to have indoor recess, we can do some things in there, so it's functional, and they're working on the bathrooms, as well. So, it's really nice. I don't know if you saw the fence behind, if you get a chance to look at the fencing behind the concession stand with our neighbor to the south. We got that filled in, Don Drake and his crew did a great job with the blue and white strips with the hard plastic that they run through the fence.
It's that one section that we're short on white, so if you see that open, yeah, that's why. But
Please get a chance to drive back there if you haven't, or at a football game. Then they stenciled in blue on the white beavers, and they look really sharp, really sharp. So,
All
no,
right.
otherwise, that's all I have. Our work sessions on the 23rd at 5 PM, and our next regular board meeting is on the 13th at 5:30 PM. Get out and vote on November 5th, the election.
So our reorganizational meeting will not be till December, correct?
Correct.
So the
Gary and
school board
Tony,
still comes in
December.
November.
That's our next meeting.
December,
I hope you'll be here, you won't be in the field.
I hope not. I hope not.
Unless you're picking
I-
forward. You could be with us.
I could
With
very well be.
that, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I'm going to hustle and try to get the